You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
I don't know how much time we've got to cover all the things I want to speak to you about, but just first of all...
I always get it, so just so you know, when I wake up Wednesday, first it's a win-win for me because I get out of the house quickly so I don't have to do the school drop-off. I've caused a blue this morning. I've packed the lunch. I'm the lunch packer, Sam, and I take a lot of pride in it. I've spoken about this before, but apparently this morning I had too much sugar in the lunch boxes, right? We're cutting back the sugar.
What do you mean you had sugar in there? You shouldn't have any sugar in it.
Well, I had, not just sugar.
What?
I had a Lamington. They each had a Lamington.
Yes.
I snuck a couple of Vovo biscuits into Carter's lunchbox, right? Yeah. So anyway, Jess comes down from the ivory tower, and just starts rearranging the lunchbox. And I said, nicely, I said, sweetheart, well, if you want to get up and do the lunch boxes, by all means. But I don't particularly love the fact that I've spent the last half an hour down here at 6 a.m. getting this lunchbox prepared, and then you coming down and rearranging it. What do you think of the?
If I may side with Jess, Vovos and Lamingtons probably not the choice of the day for someone who you're trying to not have a sugar fix on.
No, but everything else is healthy in the lunchbox.
Oh, yeah,
you just got to have one sweet,
white bread,
one sweet,
cheese,
one sweet.
Vegemite.
That's what she replaced it with.
That's
cheese.
Right. Well, that's cheese is good.
Cheese, yeah. Well, I'm not a cheese eater, but just this particular morning, I thought add a little treat in. Anyway, so the lunchbox. So anyway, back to my point. So coming in here, getting out of the school drop-off, so I get out of there half an hour earlier. So generally the antics start about this time. So they're fully dressed, they've brushed their teeth, they're ready to go, and then the fight starts. So you get out of the house and you come here and I have a laugh with you.
Yeah. Well, so still me recovering from the browbeating Kevin Sheedy gave me last week when he came in. He said, "This is like it's just a mausoleum. It's just a sort of a tribute to you. You got photos." So I said to you, Duck, I had Don Scott's photos here when he was on the podcast. McShane didn't have any of him playing football, but I had some of Don, and so Don's moved on, and I thought, well, bring some photographs in of yourself, and I'll put them up in the studio here that we do the podcast. And
she just tried to call me back just then.
And I said to you, "Where are the photos?" And you said, "Well, I asked Jess to get them down." I said,
"Out of the cupboard, not down."
Out of a cupboard.
Yeah. So I don't have them hanging up. I don't have photos of myself hanging up.
Well, I'm going to hang some up of you. Why couldn't you open the cupboard yourself and bring them down?
I do no, that's a good point. I wasn't home. I wasn't home when it came into my mind, so I rang forward of time and said, "Could you please get them out?" So to remind me to have it done. And still, anyway, that photo of Sue up there, so that Nike campaign, I was in that same Nike campaign actually, that exact same one.
Because you won't be able to see it. Can you show the camera on it?
They had the rules.
Sue?
They had the rules.
Hang on, this is new technology here. I'll tell you if it's on it.
There it is.
Yes,
it is. Perfect.
Now there it is. There. That was over the top of the billboard on the corner of Hoddle or Punt Road and Victoria Street.
Yes, correct.
Was it not?
No, yeah, I know the one. And the way you stay number one is to train like you're number two. So that, very good message, by the way.
Yeah.
You know what? It was something about losing. I remember the quote was losing. It wasn't a great one, to be honest. Not one of their better.
What about this? If you don't succeed, give it away.
I like that one.
Don't push on.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, just give up.
If you're no good at it,
just give up. Just
give up.
Yeah,
I reckon that's reverse psychology.
It is.
So anyhow, no photos. So Jess couldn't just get them out of the cupboard for you.
What I am looking forward to, the two that I know that are in the cupboard because we've recently moved, the two that are in the cupboard. You'll get a little bit of a chuckle of the type of photos.
You bring them down here,
they are.
I'll laugh along with you.
Yeah.
Now,
I do want to be up next to.
Many people since Anzac Day have said they'd like my response to what went on Anzac Day and the Welcome to Country at the dawn service. And I'm just telling people, I spoke. You want to hear this? I spoke to Greg Evans on Anzac Day because he bought a guest down for me to interview who had written a book.
Yep.
And this person brought another friend along to add some meat to the stories, not about the book, but some details that that this person was involved in. And the person who wrote the book came in and sat over there, just on the couch there. And I said, right, well, welcome, come and take a microphone. And this person said, no, I'm not coming on the microphone. And I said, I see. Why is that? I said, because the star of the book are the people I've written about. And I said, well, you've written about them. Surely you could come over as if we're promoting your book. And this went on for, and in the end, this person would not come on. And I said,
but not everyone feels as comfortable behind the camera or behind a mic as what you do. She might have been shy, or he. Was it a she or a he?
I'm not identifying.
Oh, you can't say that
the
anymore.
Gender. No, I'm not. I don't want to identify this person because I had quite some sensible, civil words to her. Oh, did I say her?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
It wasn't a her. It was a him. I had some sensible words to this person. I said, well, you've written a book and it says on your CV that you're available for interviews. Would you not think this is an interview? And this person said, no, I'm not going to be interviewed. And I said, well, then in that case, what we do is a 60-second promo at the end of this. You've done them.
Yep.
And I hold the book up and I say, this is the author.
Well, you're giving the book a plug.
Giving the book, I've devoted 3/4 of an hour on Anzac Day to it.
Well,
anyhow, this person wouldn't even come and be photographed with me holding the book up. And I said, is this something to do with me? And this person said, no. Mm-hmm. I said, because if it's to do with me, I'll withdraw and the other two people can speak to you about it. No, this person said. And so I spoke to I said, I've never heard anything like this.
They might be like me. They mightn't be photogenic. They might be better in real life.
Well, anyhow,
so what you're saying is you got someone in to do an interview about their book, and then they didn't come on and even discuss it.
No.
Yeah.
The reason I've said this is because someone wanted to know my thoughts about the Welcome to Country at the dawn service, and I have already addressed that on Anzac Day because Greg was in here at 9 a.m. and the Anzac Day dawn service was on at 5 or 6. So that'll be on the podcast. In fact, we'll put that episode on first and we'll be on second. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned that I'll just say it now, it's unacceptable to use a event like that as a protest.
Now let's be clear, everyone.
Right,
let's be clear.
Good.
What Sam has just said there. Sam has just said unacceptable to disrupt what is one of the big somber days on our calendar
for any
here
protest,
in Australia, for any protest about anything to ever be done.
Yes.
Now get that clear. That's what Sam has said.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to.
Well, I did make that point to Greg. However,
at some point, sometimes you will say that, but for whatever reason, it goes in there, here, and out there.
Besides the fact that there was a protest by someone, the real culprits are the people who decided to put Welcome to Country on before the dawn service. Absolutely inappropriate, and I'll tell you what's happening. The activists are ramping up their propaganda and their brainwashing because they're finding the Welcome to Country story is starting to fade. People are getting onto this. It's a bogus event. It's not relevant.
The amount of time you're putting into it, I would hope that pardon the pun, waning.
We respect and we admire and we want to live with the Aboriginal people and their culture, but to have 2% of the population welcome the other 98%, it is irrelevant to the rest of the population.
Did you get that video that I sent you?
I did.
Did you like that? No, did you like that Welcome to Country? Wasn't that?
And I sent it up to a person who said they'd come in here today, a very good friend of mine who's an Indigenous man. He's been on here several times, and I have this conversation, a respectful conversation, and it gets on to ceding the land and no treaty and and there's you can't cede something to someone
I know,
if you
but
don't
was
have a
that-
title.
Did you like that video that I
I
sent
did.
you? Yeah,
The
see?
man, Indigenous
It
man.
was a you know what, that was a bringing together. Do you agree?
It was.
So he was there to do, for those who don't know, he was there to do a welcome to country. But what he did is he spoke about us being one country and bring us together. And he made everyone chant, the whole crowd, Aussie, Aussie,
If
Aussie.
I can find it
oi,
down there,
oi,
I'll
oi.
show it on the.
It's the first time I'd seen it, and I just thought I'd send that through to you because I obviously know that this is one of your favourite topics.
So people,
Maybe at the top.
people go on about ceding the country, having no treaty, and the legal and political foundations of this country are built on settlement. A group of laws.
I know.
You can't say you cede something to someone if you don't
know.
have a title for it,
I know.
and there's no treaty because
let's take the
treaties weren't
positives.
even-
Let's take the positives. I'm going to cut you off because let's take the positives of the discussions that we've had over a period of time now, and that is that, as you say, and it's your strong opinion about the welcome to country. I don't because it doesn't annoy me like it annoys you. I get your point of view. I totally get it. You've got to concede that when you say people are over it and people are getting sick, you've got to concede this. I think that the message is coming through that there doesn't have to be a lengthy welcome to country. Like it is becoming more sensible at certain things in terms of the length of time that it goes, et cetera, et cetera. Would you concede that?
No.
You don't? Oh, well.
There's no need to welcome.
I know.
2%
but
of the population
there
to
are,
welcome 98% of the people who live in this country. It was a tradition where competing tribes, when they visited each other's territory, they welcomed each other. That's them. It is no relevance to
but
the.
I'm just concede that it is the landscape is changing.
It's changing. People are realising they're being played.
I know, but it has been shortened. All right. Now, what's your other topics that you had? Because I like to get through your topics before I get to my
I
topics.
was trying to show the video you
Yes,
sent of that man. I'm trying to find it.
We can put it in.
I'm going to do it now if I can. Anyhow, so my topics.
Well, I can find it, but
where is it?
Well, I sent it to you.
I know,
on WhatsApp.
On WhatsApp. Oh, then no, I've got it on WhatsApp. Then hang on.
puzzle.
And I'm going to show you. And this is fantastic, and we all agreed. And I sent it to my friend. Here it is. Here. Right now, is this the camera I do it to? Right. Please.
Turn the.
We have 300 different Aboriginal nations. We can't all speak the same language, but we can do one chant, I think, that brings us all together. Now, this is Australian rules. So, has anyone heard the chant Aussie, Aussie? Let's do it together. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! 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 Aussie, Aussie, Aussie!
You get a bit of a hair stands up on the back of your neck. This is a full-blooded Aboriginal man looking at the sense.
Okay, you can turn it off now.
Geez. Oh, geez, it might be. You could have sent me something else on your. So that's a sensible, sensible solution
which is why
to us all being here.
Which is why I sent it to you.
I know,
and I thought it was brilliant, and that's why I said. And I think you have to concede, Sam, that there are people out there that disagree. There are a lot of people that agree, and I think that there is a.
People are starting to get
a
sick
softening,
of it.
A softening of what you have been talking about for a long time. You're getting through to people.
So the trouble with the too many footballs. Go ahead.
Now, because you like political topics, I want to bring up a political topic.
I was going to get on to something you're comfortable with.
Is it fair?
Go ahead.
Is it fair? So my phone has been going berserk. Obviously, we've got an election coming up. The trumpet.
Yeah.
I've been getting messages from Mr. Trumpet.
Yep. Mr. Clive Palmer.
Constantly, yep. Ding, 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 ding. Funnily enough, and I said this to Jess, she's been getting them from all parties.
Yep.
I've just been getting them from Trumpet. Why? I don't. So once again, I don't know. I
Sue
guess-
said this too. She's been inundated with them.
Yeah,
I haven't
read
received
one of
any.
them. Haven't read. You haven't received any.
I haven't received any on my.
Yeah, but you're probably on an FBI list or a CIA list or something like that. Your
as
phone,
opposed to you.
Your
So I went and voted yesterday.
Oh, you did?
Oh, you got to line up and how much?
Where'd you do that?
How
Can you-
expensive is it? The cardboard, the cardboard, the temporary cardboard polling booths. How much money do they spend on it?
Where did you do it, by the way?
In North Melbourne, in Victoria
Why'd you go
Street.
to North Melbourne to do it?
Because we looked up where the closest place was in North Melbourne, Victoria.
They've got them in Albert Park.
I was over that way, and I thought, well, I'll drop in, and I did it, and there was a man in front of me, I don't think he could speak English, a little man, obviously an immigrant, and I was standing behind him. I was watching the woman explain what he had to do. It was I could have filmed it. You're not allowed to film in the polling booth.
It's pretty basic. You just number 1 to
1 to 6 for the House of Representatives, but then you bring out a thing that's a yard long about the Senate.
Why?
And she said, "There's a line there, sir." He said, "A what?" She said, "There's a line." Oh, he said, "A line." She said, "No, there's a black line. Above the black line, you fill in 1 to 6. On the line, he said. She said, "No, just above the line, there's some boxes. Put 1 to 6. He said, "I see." He said, "Along the line." No, and I'm standing behind her. And she said, "No." Anyhow, and below that, you can vote. You can put up to 12. Is it? You can put up to 12 in any box you like. He said, "Still on the line." And I'd love to see what he did at the end. This would be a non-countable vote.
I would.
An informal vote that they thought, no, this man's.
There are a lot of
fucked this up
people. There are
beautifully.
a lot of people that still don't know how to do it.
I know. It's quite. I was listening to her explain it.
But I also
think.
think that our knowledge on, and I've said this to you before, our knowledge on politics in this country, I think, is minimal. I don't think people follow it like they do in America. And I follow American politics more than I do Australian politics. And I think once you get past your preferred party, and then say 1, 2, 3, once you get past that, I reckon people just scribble whatever it is.
That's right. That's called the donkey vote.
The donkey.
That's
so
why,
I'm a donkey.
No. If you,
I'm happy to be a donkey.
What people do
I've been
is,
called worse than a donkey.
You have too. What people do is that want to run for Parliament, they bank on the donkey vote of people just going in alphabetical order. So if you're Angus Armstrong, you go AA, you're number 1, and the people who just the donkey vote just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you get votes by having the donkey vote. So Clive Palmer's trumpet of patriots, his preferences are going to the Greens.
Yeah,
I think
you said that.
That would
I don't
almost
like that.
rule him out,
yeah.
because the Greens, God love the Greens, they are banning fossil fuels because they say heating bills.
Is that an actual saying, donkey vote?
Donkey
That's
vote.
what they call it, the donkey vote.
They call it the donkey vote.
Well, there you go. I've been a donkey voter my whole life.
So donkey vote.
What's a non-voter? Just a non-voter.
There's a lawbreaker.
Well, I'm that as well.
Well, you have to have a good reason that you don't vote, saying you weren't in the country or you couldn't get to a booth.
I'll tell you what, one year I didn't vote. I'll tell you why I didn't vote one year, because I lined up and I lined up and I lined up and I lined up and I don't.
That's democracy, Wayne.
And I don't do lineups. And
Well, that's why you don't do lineups. You ever been to an airport trying to fly overseas?
I do, but generally I'm in the premium line, so I get through a little quicker.
Well, why don't they have a premium line for voting?
The Mona Lisa. I remember lining up for the Eiffel Tower. I thought I was going to go up the Eiffel Tower. There was a lineup. I didn't go up it. The Mona Lisa. There was a lineup to see that. I didn't go and see that because there was a lineup. There's a lineup at a restaurant, and you don't know the owner.
There's a lineup to see
then
the
I
Mona
don't go to
Lisa.
do that. There's not a restaurant in the world good enough to line up for, or a nightclub good enough in the world to line up for an hour or more to go and eat and or to go and have a drink.
No, not for someone like you, Wayne.
you agree?
But the normal riffraff, the plebs,
Do you
the
agree?
rank and file, they have to do that.
You know, you watch people. At the Espy Hotel back when it was flying in the summer, and you see the line up around the corner, or you go
That's
down.
right.
You go down the street.
And I tell you what-
Electric Lady Lounge on a Friday
The
night. and there's-
Electric Lady Lounge.
There's a
Holy
line up
shit.
down the street, and you just go, what? You're standing in the street for an hour
I'll
to
tell
get
you what,
into a place to have a drink. I go straight across the road, order a drink, wait for the line to go down,
No,
and then
you
walk
don't.
back across.
That's-
No, I don't, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying that's what I would
you
do.
Wayne, is you walk straight up to the front and you say not a word. You have the open neck trousers on, and the bloke says, "Wayne, do you want to come in?" You say, "Oh, yeah, I do. Come through," and they take the clip off the rope, and in you go, and everyone's looking at you thinking either A, look at that man, what a celebrity, or B, have a fucking look at that, will
Yep,
you?
yep.
Who does he think
That's
he
exactly
is?
What that, you know what? You're exactly right. That's
know I
the
am.
judgment that most people would have.
That's right.
And you know what? Yes, I am that wanker.
But you-
and when I've done it, there's been a smidgen of guilt when I've know people have lined up, and then that guilt goes very quickly.
But you'd be very clever how you wouldn't go up and say, "Hey, listen, can I come in? I'm Wayne Carey." You'd just stand there and the bloke would say, "Wayne,"
you
and
see
you
the
say,
eyes.
"Yes, mate.
You meet
Would you
eyes.
like to come in? Come through." That's how it works.
You meet eyes. Now, once again, they're the pros and cons of
So you
life.
didn't vote because you had to queue up.
Correct. It was years ago.
Maybe we could have a celebrity line.
was
If
few
you're a
years.
celebrity, come over here. We'll get you through quickly so we don't waste your day. Fuck, it's unreal, isn't it?
Well,
Shit.
I actually just quickly one voting story is when in 1999 when Carlton we'd gone through to the grand final and Essendon were playing Carlton in the prelim on the Saturday, and we had to vote on that Saturday in 1999 if you go back. And I was living in Moonee Ponds at the time in Ardmelon Road, and there was the school around the corner was doing the voting, and Carlton just knocked off Essendon by 1 point. Yep. The Bombers were red hot favourites
What year?
to win the
99.
flag, 99, to win the flag. And I remember going around, and then all the people at the voting booth at the primary school were all saying, "Oh, you know, you're home. You're home. Essendon got beat. You know, you're going to win the grand final next week." And I just remember thinking, because we'd lost the grand final the year before. So that's one story in particular about voting that I do remember. And I went around there with a bit of a spring in my step, knowing that the Bombers had been knocked off. And the Bombers, ironically, the Bombers play North Melbourne this week. I think.
They do. Yeah, I think they do.
Thursday night. Yeah, they do. Tomorrow night.
How are the
North.
North going?
Well, they were more competitive on the weekend.
What's that
I
mean?
I watched the whole game.
I watched some of it.
I watched the whole game, and I was.
What about the
and
bloke
I laid there, and Carter sat with me, and then GWS, our new side GWS, came on after, and they got beat. So
I watched that game.
They were competitive. They kicked themselves out. Nick Larkey
I
should have
watched the
kicked 3
game
or
with
4
you.
goals.
I watched the game. You asked me around
While
to
we're
a
on
friend's
North-
place who didn't know I was coming.
While we're on North Melbourne, he did. I rang him before. While we're on North Melbourne, what about young Curtis?
Yeah.
Paul Curtis is tackle. He's been given 3 weeks. If North Melbourne don't appeal that, or I'm not sure they can appeal. I know that they appealed the initial decision to go to the tribunal, but I don't know whether there's room for another appeal. But that is one of the most disgraceful decisions, and there's been a lot over the years, of a man getting 3 weeks. A guy King hit someone the other day on the field, a Hawthorn player, not King hit, but a round arm.
Yep.
He got 4 weeks. He tackles someone and the guy drops to his knees and pulls himself forward, which then takes Paul Curtis forward, and he knocks himself out, more or less. Well, Curtis had a little bit to do with it. He pinned his arms. But the fact that he gets 3 weeks for that shows you that that is the worst decision that I have ever seen at the tribunal. Now, for me to say that is a big statement, because they've made some absolute howlers. They have some of the pathetic, weak decisions, contradictory decisions that they make is pathetic, and this one tops them all.
So notwithstanding,
And the kid wouldn't squash a grape with a long-handed shovel. You can tell he's just a lovely kid that's playing the best footy of his career, and they're going to wipe him out for 3 weeks. disgraceful.
So, notwithstanding the inadequacy and the stupidity, the umpiring fraternity who allow that went to the tribunal, and what happens is that they do not look at things on their merits. They think, oh, the man hit his head 3 weeks. They have no idea. They just have a set of guidelines that they look at. They don't even look at the incident. They could not even look at the incident. They say, did the man hit his head without looking at the incident? He said, yeah, well, 3 weeks. They have no desire to judge every case on its merits, and that's why the thing is...
Outcome, not action.
And this is the great Doug Hawkins, who was in here.
Yeah.
Doug, you're welcome any time. If you could tell us when you're not holding a lollipop sign up, come in here and have a chat to the Duck and I. He said if he coached anyone, he'd tell them not to tackle.
Yeah.
Just don't tackle anyone.
It's just... I just feel... you know what I feel for? I actually had a moment... I just feel really... bad for Paul Curtis. This kid is playing the best football of his career. He hasn't exactly shot the lights out, and he's been consistent all year. He's kicking goals. He's playing good footy in a team that's not exactly playing great footy, and now he has to miss 3 weeks. It is just what I mean. This is probably maybe a little too. It could ruin the kid's career.
The great Patrick
Could
Dangerfield
ruin the kid's
did a
career.
great tackle,
Yeah,
a tough tackle.
Got turned. It didn't, and he got off.
Great tackle. So that was one of the things I was going to ask you about. Now, this is the trouble with too many football shows. I don't watch them, and people say, "Oh, well, you're going to speak about them. You must watch
You haven't
them."
got enough time in the week to watch them.
No, I saw a clip on the news of, I don't know which station it was, the one that...
I'll tell you by the people that were on it.
They were discussing...
Who was discussing it?
Corns?
Yeah, so Channel 7. He's gone to Channel 7 now.
Okay. How long could you discuss... apparently an Essendon player got dragged or was asked to come off, and he either put 2 arms up to gesture, do you want me to come off or stay on, or he put 1 finger up to say, you got to be joking, why are you taking me off? They discussed it for a quarter of an hour about...
I know.
You could not speak about it for so long. About
Bailey
just
Smith,
what was it?
Bailey Smith has been given about 3 or 4 fines already for giving the bird this year.
To the club?
No, to the crowd. I think to the crowd. I don't know who else he's done it to, but who cares?
Well, I think they said they're giving it to the...
The other big topic that they've been talking about is Jason Horne-Francis. Now,
Jason
Horne-Francis. Francis. You say H, you should say Francis. You know that's my middle name.
Francis.
Wayne
Francis Carey.
Possibly the worst.
WFC should be WTF. What the fuck? Shane, what's his name?
Jason Horne-Francis.
Horn.
Yes.
Francis. Is that a hyphenated name?
No, it's yes, it is, but it's...
Oh, well, hang on. Is his name Jason Francis?
Remember Fabian I think it was Fabian. I think Fabian Francis. Anyway, his dad played for Port Adelaide.
Jason Horne-Francis.
Jason Horne-Francis, number 1 draft pick for North Melbourne.
Yes.
Right? Remember, North Melbourne years ago, he decided to leave because they were in turmoil. Clarko was under investigation. There was stuff going on everywhere, so he decided to leave. For whatever reason, North Melbourne supporters...
Hyphenated.
North Melbourne, yeah.
It's HORNFRANCIS.
Yes, North Melbourne fans.
Horne-Francis.
North Melbourne fans are up in arms, and they have something against Horne-Francis because he left. If any person in their right mind at that stage, where North Melbourne, what they were going through, and Clarko had just signed for the club, and it looked like there was going to be some stability, and then there was this big investigation, right? So he decides, well, why would I stay here, right? So he goes back to Port Adelaide. Anyway, he's playing against North Melbourne on the weekend.
Yes.
And he's a gun. He's an absolute gun, right? And because Ken Hinkley had to speak to him at 3/4 time, he gave away a 50-metre penalty, he gave a goal. He won the game. He was one of the contributors to winning the game for Port Adelaide. Yeah. Did he do a couple of things that
untoward,
that were considered undisciplined? Absolutely. I'd take that for anyone that knows anything about professional sport when you're an absolute competitor. You want Jason Horne-Francis. I'd take all of the bad because there's way more good. And if he gives away a free kick every now and then because he's over exuberant or he's energetic and he's passionate about his footy club and passionate about winning.
And your point.
Give me that every day of the week. Well, people are up in arms saying, "Oh, he's undisciplined. When are you going to fix this?" And he did that, and he nearly cut. What a load of crap! And one of my old teammates, and on one of the shows he's on, he's defending that, saying Horne-Francis needs to pull his head in. He needs to do this. That is the biggest load of rubbish I've ever heard. Horne-Francis every day of the week. Take the bad with all of the good. Because without the bad, you don't get
What
all of the
happens
good.
if there's a minute to go in a grand final and he errs by doing something undisciplined
that's
or
like
stupid?
saying, that's
What?
Sam. They're probably in there because of the passion that he showed prior to that to even get into the grand final.
So if he loses the grand
Well,
final by a ridiculously
like I said-
undisciplined free
like
kick,
I said-
that's okay.
Like I said, no. Well, that's a hypothetical for starters.
What is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
of course it is.
so
We're
for,
talking
for
about
me,
North Melbourne
you
playing in
ta-
a grand final, are we?
Well, that's a big hypothetical.
Yes, that's it.
No, he's at Port Adelaide.
Oh, I see.
Anyway, you take the bad because there's just so much good. And now, if you're not that good, you don't take any bad. The simple facts: when you're a very good player, what makes you a very good player is that passion, is that drive, is that playing on the boundary, right on the line, right? And sometimes you're going to digress. And that's exactly what he did a couple of times. But his attack on the footy, his class, everything about him. And North Melbourne supporters, look, you cannot blame that kid for leaving. The club
Were they
was
booing him when
the club.
he got?
No, well, it's not about that. The club was a shambles when he left. The club, he would have stayed if Alistair Clarkson wasn't under. In my opinion, if Alistair Clarkson wasn't under that review of the racial vilification stuff, then I think Horne-Francis would have stayed because there would have been a bit of stability. But he didn't even know whether he was going to have a coach or not. So he decides to leave. You can't blame the kid for that.
I could blame the kid for that.
Well, I can't.
Well, hang on a minute.
The other big topic.
Just a minute. Why don't you stay and face the fire and see if you can do something to lift the
He didn't
stocks?
know he had a coach.
Well, he's obviously going to have a coach. You think North Melbourne are going to throw through the season
So he's
without
the
a coach?
number one draft pick.
Yes.
He comes to a side that couldn't get a kick in a street fight.
Yes.
Right? And then all of a sudden they sign Alistair Clarkson and then maybe Alistair Clarkson's not going to be your coach.
And
there's other positions at the club that have
so
been
the president
fired.
goes and says, Mr. Horne-Francis.
People are getting sacked here and sacked there. And
Mr. Horne-Francis, you're the number one pick. We treasure and value you greatly.
Oh.
We do not have a coach at the minute, but stand by.
So you put all that pressure on an 18-year-old. So you say you be the saviour of this club. So we haven't got a coach, but you're a number one pick and you're 18.
Not putting any pressure on him at all.
Well, you just said maybe he should stay and be
that's
the
right.
saviour. The saviour at 18.
Be in a team, help a team become successful rather than scampering away and going to a side
If he was
that's already...
if he was a recruit and he was 25 and he was a mature age recruit and a man, and then he jumped ship, I think that's different to an 18-year-old that gets all that pressure put on him as the number one pick, and then they don't have a coach.
All they require him to do
You're
is
just
do what he does best, is play football. Leave the politics to someone
You're being
else.
argumentative now because I know you don't agree. Now, another topic. Ross Lyon. Ross Lyon is also come under fire because of his passion and his desire to win.
What's he done?
You know what he's done? You're not going to believe this, Sam. This is breaking. This is breaking, and all the footy shows. Oh, there've been some of up in arms.
Oh man!
There was a female journalist that just said this cannot be stood for. The fact that we have a senior coach talking to a player that's only played 16 games and told him that he did something wrong. You just can't speak to these kids like that.
I see.
What a load of crap.
And
It is.
Is he under fire now for bullying?
He's under
OHS.
Well, he's under fire for actually showing a little bit of passion and letting and by the way, not allowing his young team, not allowing them to get away with stuff that he has obviously been drilling into them, and they haven't been able to perform consistently. You cannot mollycoddle.
Yes.
You can't continue to mollycoddle these kids week after week after week when they continue to do the same crap week after week. Every now and then you need to be told, you need a rocket, you need to show some passion, and Ross Lyon did that. And there are some that agree with it and some that don't. Now, what we're all in agreement with here, people,
Well, hang on.
is
Just, ask me
you
the
can't
question.
do it every week.
Oh,
You can't give people a rocket every week.
No.
And now all the experts are saying, well, there's a certain amount of rockets you can give. You can give 6. You can probably give 6 a year. I love how all the experts are saying you can give 6 a year. I'll tell you this. What about this? What about if a senior coach is more like a psychologist these days than they are a football coach? They are people managing a group of young men. There are players that can copper spray. There are players that can't copper spray. And I reckon I'm pretty sure that Ross Lyon would know those who can cop it
Yes.
and will respond to a cook.
Quite right.
And those that won't, and maybe put their arm around
Those who
that
are
particular.
precious.
And maybe if you don't, or not put their arm around, just say you're playing in the seconds. You've got to sometimes you can't just allow them just to keep serving up crap.
3/4 time instead of saying, why don't you just go up to someone and say, Frank, you'll be in the seconds next week. That should get him up and about for the last quarter.
You would think so. You would think so. Anyway, I just
fired up today.
I just can't believe the
No,
fact that it's a big story, and then you've got actual people out there that are being paid to sit here and have a crack at Ross Lyon.
Yep.
The other part of it is all those people that have a crack at Ross Lyon for being passionate and wanting his team to do better and showing a little bit of frustration. Go and coach an AFL team. And just tell me how your levels of anxiety and your levels
pent-up emotion, you can withhold it.
all of that. And then they get into and then you had Caro on the couch.
Oh, is she doing it?
No, Caro had a crack at Ross for, let me get it right.
Exuberance.
No, she thought Ross was being rude to one of the reporters in the press conference.
Oh, no.
Because what Ross did was the reporter asked Ross a question, and Ross said, yeah, well, you know what? Yeah, you tell me what you think about the question that you asked me. And the female reporter answered the question. By the way, answered the question very well. Yeah. And Ross said, you know what? I think you're right. But Caro thought that was condescending and rude to the reporter. And I think that Caro was out of line because I don't think it was rude and I don't think it was condescending. It was like, these are things that have bobbed up on my radar, and I just find it amusing that, you know, I just find it amusing that everyone's up in arms about Horne-Francis. The Paul Curtis tackle is an absolute joke, the biggest joke I've ever seen. And people up in arms about Ross Lyon giving his team a cook. What's the world coming to, Sam?
As I meant to say this about the tackle, I tell you who you should blame, the person who hand-passed it to the guy he tackled. That man was right beside him and he hand-passed it straight to him. There was no way that he should have hand-passed the ball to him, and as soon as he did, he was grabbed. That's the person you should blame for the tackle. They should have given him 2 weeks for stupidity.
Had no awareness.
No awareness at all.
I'm trying to think of. I think it was a pretty good play that handballed it too, but yeah, no awareness of who was around him. And you're right. And it was one of those ones where he was just given the kick so he could have a long shot at goal.
So then I've only just seen this. It went on and every news broadcast when the sport came up. The man at Footscray, Jamara. How long can they go on about a man who's got depression and he's had trouble? What is he? Do we know what he's depressed about for a start?
No.
Do we? That's a serious question.
No. Well, I don't. I think there are people that do, but it hasn't been reported on. There's a lot of rumour and innuendo in footy, and I don't get involved in that because I've been a part of it for the last part of 30 years. Yes, there's rumour and innuendo every week.
Oh, I see. Well,
but
so he
has now taken a leave of absence.
Yeah. What does that mean?
That's a very good question because I'd argue he's already been on one.
And he's getting paid, apparently.
Well, he was getting paid. I don't know.
Stop people's pay.
I don't know.
Depression.
The fact that he's now so what he was doing is he was coming and going as he pleased.
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yes, so he was coming in, once again, tail wagging the dog. He was coming and going as he pleased. Now he's taking taking a complete leave of absence away from the football club. So he is now will not be going to the football club at all, I assume, and he'll be addressing his issues
Mental
away from the football club.
and on full pay.
I don't know about that.
No, well, he is getting paid, full pay.
I don't know
because
about that.
that'll be the next legal battle that you can't sack someone who's depressed because why is he depressed?
I've got no. I don't.
Seems to
I
have the
don't.
world at his feet.
I don't know the circumstances behind it. All that I know is that.
Well, let's head it up every news broadcast.
Well, I know,
on
but we
sport.
spoke about it. Yeah, but they've been speaking about it every week for the last 8 weeks.
What that's my point.
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Because there's too many football shows.
Well, clearly because people want to hear. I don't know. How do they do it? Does it go on? You talk about clickbait, or can they tell how many people read the article, or what it is? But it's been. You're right. It's just gone on and on and on and on. And the leave of absence things probably should have been done 4 or 5 weeks ago.
So
they're the big topics in footy that, in my opinion,
and
Sam.
so we
watched Anzac Day.
We watched Anzac Day. You're in very good form. I've got some shots of you watching the footy, absolutely focused on the football for I reckon 38 seconds, and then you started. You had no interest in the football after that. It was a reasonable game considering the conditions.
Well, I reckon you had written Essendon off when they were 4 goals down and it was raining. You said, "Oh, this game's over," and then all of a sudden Essendon have hit the front, and it was a.
And what happened in the end?
Competitive.
This game was over.
Yeah. No,
shocking umpiring decisions. Geelong and Carlton, shocking umpiring decisions.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with Geelong.
Once again,
I know what I was going to say.
Once again, it's not. I know. I keep saying this, and people. I'll say it again because everyone blames the umpires. It's not the umpires. It's the direction that they're given from the AFL. They keep changing. They keep changing the rules. They keep changing the interpretation. Of rules.
Yep.
And it makes it very difficult for the umpires to umpire. So then they get confused. But if anyone ever says to me ever again, how would you go? How would a forward go in today's football? You know what? The free kicks that they get for absolutely nothing, it is, and it is the reason footy. And this isn't me being a football hater because I still love the game. I still watch it. If there's a good game, I watched all of North Melbourne on the weekend.
That's a good game.
And Port Adelaide. It was a good game. It was a close game. It was exciting. It was. There was mistakes everywhere, but it was still.
Sorry.
It was still.
They were
being competitive. But the amount of like I said, the Curtis, getting 3 weeks, the free kicks, the frustrations around the game is at an all-time high. But then people are tuning in, people are going to games.
Because that'll always happen because it's a tribal thing. You follow your side. You don't give a stuff how it wins or how they play. You go along. That's just getting bigger and bigger. That's our quaint game. That is.
Yep.
What
what else have we got there, Sam? I'm just trying to see what
just in passing, you mentioned so the great Peter Bosustow, he left us just a couple of days ago. Peter Bosustow, passed away.
You know what, Sam? I did not know that.
Yes, they took Mark of the Year and Goal of the Year in the
1 year.
I thought it might have been the same game even.
I don't think it was the same
1980, 1983, 84.
I don't think it was the same
Wasn't
game. It was definitely the same year.
Yeah. Anyhow, I was over in Perth a couple of weeks ago and his wife came to one of my chats. Mm-hmm. She couldn't keep away because I'm excellent at those when I'm not cancelled.
Yeah.
And anyhow, I don't know even why I started to say this because it sounds like, oh, you're a good man. No, I sent him a video. I said, I remember you well, and because he was desperately ill. And why am I telling you this? Because she showed it. I'm not saying this anymore. Because
he didn't play. No,
being a big man by doing that.
No, but you can say it.
No, I'm not saying it.
He's a big. You know what? He was a superstar. Only came here for a short time, didn't he? But Goal of the Year, Mark of the Year, in the 1 year.
Wasn't in the same game.
It wasn't in the same
I see.
game. Yeah.
And he used to tour with Mark Jackson and Chopper
Yes.
Reed.
Yeah,
and,
that's right. He did
the
too.
three of them.
The Buzz.
The Buzz.
The Buzz.
The Buzz, the Murderer, and the... well, I don't think Mark Reed murdered anyone, did he?
I've got no idea.
I think he cut his own ear. I was a very good... That picture there.
Yeah, that's Chopper.
He gave me that. That's
Yeah,
Chopper Reed.
yeah.
That's Mark Reed. He painted Ned Kelly.
Yep.
That's him.
He missed
And
the mouth on the red one.
And yeah, he did. And on the back it says to Sam from Chopper.
Do you reckon
Mark
he knows?
Brandon Reed.
Do you reckon he knows he missed the mouth on the red one? The red one can't breathe.
What I'd like, I wish you'd told him he'd missed the mouth. I'd like to see what his reaction was.
I did meet him many years ago briefly.
Now, Wayne,
Hey, talking about meat.
will we come back?
No, just anyway,
Well,
you were saying.
I'll tell you what I
I
wanted.
ran into. I was reading something the other day. Our mate, are you into this OnlyFans? Are you thinking about?
Am I into it?
Yeah. You look like an OnlyFans type of roller.
No, I might start me OnlyFans.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, have I been living under a rock? Probably not. But have I been? Because I picked up the paper. Is it true, Henry Brayshaw?
Yes.
Young Henry.
Yes. Young Henry.
JB's son.
Yes, one of his 4 sons.
Yeah. Like,
What's that say?
so
Does that
I
say?
just found this out this morning. So JB's son, Henry,
Yeah.
OnlyFans, star vows. How many? So
Come on, what?
JB's son, Henry.
Yes, Henry.
This is what I can't. Have you heard about this or not?
I've heard about it.
So his
I
son,
don't know if it's apocryphal or not.
Henry. So Annie Knight, who's an OnlyFans model. Obviously, I've never watched OnlyFans. What is OnlyFans? Just is it a subscription? But is it? It's not all. OnlyFans isn't all sexual stuff, is
No.
it? It's fetish. It's all that. That's right. I remember someone had they did a foot thing, and socks, and they sell their socks, and yeah. Oh, geez. Okay, maybe I should go on OnlyFans. How many? I'll have to charge a lot for my first subscription because I won't get another one.
So, go on.
but anyway, so she wants to what? She wants to shag 1,000.
Shag. She wants to make love to how many?
She wants to. Well, I'm not sure you'd be making love to 1,000 people. She wants to be
Fuck.
shag 1,000 guys in 1 year.
I tell you what.
Well, you give
I was
us
just
some
going to
pointers.
say, Wayne, why
us
don't
some-
you jump on? You could blow her into the shade. You could. Christ.
No, hang on.
You've done that in a month.
Hang on, and she's engaged to James to
Henry.
Henry.
Is she? Is she going to stop
Henry.
Now, James
No,
Brayshaw.
so he's agreed. So Henry's
James
agreed.
Brayshaw is a very good friend of mine.
I know. I'm not having a go. I'm just saying.
I'm not either. But
I just found out about this morning.
I haven't spoken to Jim about this. But
I'll give him a call about it.
we could give him a call now. See
I
what he
think
says.
that's what do you call it? That's that
Clickbait.
No, what Sam believes in. That's AI. That's AI. Your take.
I see. So you think Henry hasn't
Yeah.
not engaged to
that's
Anna
AI.
Knight?
That's AI. You sure? No,
So
that's AI.
I'm just
So,
hypothetically, and
so
we're
Henry
making a
Brayshaw,
little.
Henry Brayshaw is engaged to Annie Knight, who wants to go to bed with 1,000 men in 1 year, and you're telling me that's not AI?
I'm not telling anything. I'm just saying we're
That's
making
AI.
a little light of this, in bearing in mind Jim's a very good friend.
I
of
know,
mine,
and
his father.
yeah, and I'm going to ring.
How would that work? If
I'm
she's
gonna
going
ring-
to is she going to push on with her her assignment? Still, she's going to bed down
Well,
1,000 while she's engaged
I'm going to
or
ring.
married.
You know what? I'll ring JB today because that's AI. Surely he's got a case against that.
It's on Herald Sun, it's on every
Oh, if it's in the Herald Sun, it must be AI.
Gold Coast bulletin.
Hey, yeah.
Well, I could make a call to Jim and say, "Is this right?"
You've got to because that's AI, and you'd have to. That's got to be.
Has he come out and
someone rang
denounced
me.
it?
Someone sent me a text message about that this morning, and And if that's AI, surely Henry and the girl, Annie Knight, surely they've got a case against whoever's reporting that. If it's, they've got to. Hey?
So just say it is right.
I mean,
how would that work?
Well, what do you mean, how
They'd
does it
have
work?
to put a turnstile on the bedroom, like a
Revolving door.
Would Henry be living in the same house as her, or
It's not.
how would it work?
Yeah, well, look,
She'd say they'd be sitting at the dinner table, and Annie'd say, "Henry, excuse me, I've just got to go out for a minute." And she'd get in the car, and she'd be back, and you say, "Well, would you like to have the main course now?" She said, "Just a minute, I've got to go out again."
it's
They'd be
AI.
coming
It's AI.
backwards
It's
and
AI.
forwards.
That's exactly right. I mean, 1,000.
It's 2.7
Hang on.
a day.
Oh, no, that's doable.
2.7 a day.
Is that all it is? 2.7. Oh, that's Sam. Come on. I reckon.
Well, I reckon
you might have given that a nudge back. You might have
I reckon the bloke she's bedding down would have a nice head of steam. It wouldn't take long. I reckon they'd be all over in 5
No,
seconds.
but you might have given that a nudge back when you were a young whippersnipper.
What, 2 a day?
Yeah. Anyway, well, when you put it like that, but that's AI. I'm going to ring JB today and Billy. I'll ring Billy first and say, Billy, please tell me this is AI. I'll get the rundown
Well,
from Bill.
have you got anything else to speak
All right.
about if we come back?
No, I'll come back.
Yeah, good,
If
right.
you want to come back.